Welcome back to the Daughters of the Moon podcast. We're so grateful that you can join us for another week.
We certainly are.
And today we have Ofer Niv with us. He is a transformational healer, mentor, and guide who specializes in shamanic energy work that addresses the physical, emotional, and spiritual layers of being. With over a decade of experience, he blends ancient wisdom, the mysticism of the Kabbalah, shamanic practices, helping clients resolve deep-seated issues and transform their lives at the core. He was born and raised on a kibbutz in Israel and served as an army commander in the Israeli army and studied philosophy and math before moving to the US. So, welcome. We're excited to have you on the podcast with us.
That has been a journey, and I'm excited to be with you. Thank you for having me.
Yes. So, can you tell us a little bit about your journey and how you got to where you are and what led you to working with the shamanic healing?
Yeah, I was born in Israel in a kibbutz, which is like a community type lifestyle, and it has been long ago, and and since then, so eventually I had a very traditional kind of quote unquote normal lifestyle through growing up, through university, through moving to the U.S. and working in the corporate world for 40 years almost, being a manager, and I've done a lot of things, in a way that you typically hear about them. And then I was diagnosed at some point with multiple sclerosis, MS, and that was in 2011. Before that, about 10 years before that, I was diagnosed with thyroid cancer. I ended
Wow.
up having my thyroid removed. And I'd say that was sort of the first signal that I got that I wasn't paying attention to, that like, open your eyes, pay attention. I wasn't paying attention and just continuing my corporate overstressed, around the clock, 2 hours sleep a night sometimes, many times actually. And eventually I was diagnosed with MS. I had all these symptoms, tingling sensations, and I was when I was told that this is it and that it's not gonna get better and maybe it'll get worse and all I can do at best is manage it. Um, that's when I knew that something really got to change, and I started to look in different directions. I started to look at what was available in terms of just wisdom teaching, self-help. I mean, anything. I was not locked on anything because I had I always liked kind of self-help book, but pretty standard, maybe psychological kind of help. And, just do it yourself, improve how you feel about yourself and stuff like that. And I just found sort of through unfolding events, one class leading to the next class, some wonderful programs, like full year programs that I participated in that I think opened a window to me that what we see is not everything. That all this world of subtle energy that is like 99.999% of what's around us that we don't see is what I really started to want to understand more about. And eventually it led for us gathering the people in a program, in a full year program, gathering in a place in North Carolina, where we had a guest that is a shamanic healer. And she said she was seeing a part of me in front of my body, outside of my body, in front of my body. And she asked if I wanted back in. And I said, sure. And I didn't know what it was entailing. I can tell you that after this work, and I was kind of being laid down on a table in the middle of a big room, a lot of people around me, and after that, for weeks, I felt just tingling up and down my spine, like something really, really great happened, really, really important. And I knew I just had to know more about that, about shamanic energy healing, and so. I flew especially to some place in Colorado to spend some weekend, and then I joined programs. And after a while, I said, okay, maybe it's enough about me because I already felt better. And I felt much better. So I didn't have the symptoms anymore. And I have to tell you that today I also don't have, not only don't have the symptoms, but don't have like the MRIs, don't show it anymore.
Beautiful.
I'm not on medications anymore. And it was gradual and it took time, but it was certainly, a huge change for me. And so I studied it and I became a practitioner, and I've been doing it, for close to 10 years, I'd say. I saw hundreds of clients, and I'm just happy that I can help also others to get the taste of, really there is, when you're told that there's nothing to be done. I mean, I have this rebellious spirit in me, and so usually when I hear that, it's like, no, there has to be a way, and there was, and there is.
Well, that is an amazing story because I just love stories like that where you hear, how you were guided into something and, it basically makes these things disappear, these illnesses and things like that. And I know when we were young, mom came down with Guillain-Barré disease and same thing. She ended up in a wheelchair and they told her she'd never walk again. And she fought her way back through it, obviously. But I find it really interesting and I love the shamanistic practices
Yeah, it's
because
so
it's so tied to the earth.
Yeah, that's true. For me, it's tied to many realms. So I don't usually work. Maybe I don't do it exactly like the traditional way. I would say it's more modern, so it's less maybe ritualistic, and it's really working more with the inner, with the just whatever the inner realms, inner awareness, inner consciousness brings to you, brings to anyone that I work with. And so typically I work with people through Zoom. I don't need to touch them, although I studied that way when I studied, but I discovered that actually work through Zoom is very effective for me and for the clients. And it is really about, when I think into the foundations of it is about connecting two hearts so that the heart, I love a Course in Miracles, and A Course in Miracles say that the healing happens when somebody that temporarily has more is connecting with somebody that temporarily has less or needs help. And that's exactly what I do. I just we're just connecting the hearts. And if I am the one who's temporarily having a little more of these healing energies, then I'm going to be the one who is asking for it, who is letting always love this divine energy flowing through you. And whenever I do healing, I know that I'm receiving. I know that the healing works both ways, and that's the beauty of it.
yeah, it is the beauty of it.
Yeah, it really is.
Right.
Do you think that there's signs on people's journeys as we go through life that kind of are telling us that we're kind of coming to that crossroads where we need some kind of either shamanic or some kind of energy healing to sort of right our path, so to speak?
For myself, I had to work with this. Okay, the universe is telling you once and you're not listening, and then it hits you on the head, and then it makes you listen. That was my sign, and it took me a long time to pick it up. Why? Because there was something in me that told me, and I don't think it's really me, but I was told many times in my life, I just don't have any intuitive capabilities, and so I wasn't even, um, you know, trying. It was just not something. And then when I started discovering through experiencing through the classes that I took that were very experiential, how suddenly I can actually see aura. And I'm not saying that it's always very clear, but I saw things that I just couldn't be possible, that made no sense. And slowly, because it didn't happen in one day, I just discovered that it's the most beautiful, impactful thing to discover that there is all this world that of possibilities inside of us, around us, that I had no idea. And work really got boring really fast, the old corporate job. And as far as how people know, so hopefully it doesn't have to be the way that the universe hits you with this 2x4 in the head, and instead um, you you open up and you start to maybe be open to the idea that you don't have to know everything, and it's not all on you, because so many of us are just walking around with, I have to be in full control, it's all on me, I have to know how to heal myself. And this is coming from influences of others on us throughout life, maybe throughout other lifetimes, but it's also it's very limiting because we make it our own, and then we feel like there is nobody else to help us. It's like we're on our own. And that's egoic. There is something egoic in it because we don't know any better, because we don't think that there is something else there. So when we just um, when we just give up on that, when we release the need to know everything, and say, okay, ego, I still love you, but you don't have to be in charge all the time. then then something starts, then we have the possibility, then something opens up, something starts to change, and then we're really giving divine love chance. We're giving divine love chance to come in, and we can actually recognize it, and guidance. So I'd say listen to the signs, because our body talks to us all the time. Our bodies, if you don't sleep more than 2 hours a night, and your body's saying you got to go to sleep, then go to sleep and don't argue and don't say, but I have a deadline. Just listen to your body. For me, yeah, that's kind of we don't always, I mean, sometimes there are external signs, sometimes you'll be driving, and you literally see a sign that says something and say, oh, well, what does this word means to me? Eh, uh, but we also have internal signs. We also have the where did these words come from? Why did I think of this? Or why did why did this picture suddenly comes to mind? Or why did I hear, what does this piece of music tell me? So signs are around us all the time. And so it's not a matter of not enough signs. It's a matter of, do we listen? Do we notice? Do we see? Do we open ourselves to any of this, really?
Yeah.
It's true.
Yes. Do you think that as we go inwards and find that silence, because seems to me some of what you're saying is right, going inwards, finding that silence to make that connection to the divine source, call it what you will. Do you think that as the more that we go inner, the more that expands into our outer realm and pushes us in the direction that we need to go?
Yes, the answer is yes. Meditation is great. And I'll be the first one to say that I'm not great at meditation because because I don't have a lot of patience, and so I do a lot of short versions of that. It's interesting that somebody said that as far as seeing, you should you should consider 20% of what you see, like what you see with your physical eyes, as important, and 80% of what you see inside would be the complementary. So it's more important to look inside. And as far as hearing, it's the opposite. Like if you're walking in a jungle, you have to be careful. You have to not, you have to listen. You have to listen to what life presents to you with your ears, 80%, but only 20% inside, because we have so much inner chatter that can mislead us. And so there is something about gaining clarity. I think gaining clarity because there are all these voices that are speaking inside of our head. Some of them are our own voice, and a lot of them are not. A lot of them are influences from maybe people that we grew up with, friends, people that say that they're friends, um, ancestral lineage, soul lineage. I mean, all these influences, they're always play, and some of them become thought loops inside of us. And then they have also these audio tapes that play and keep on playing. And we think this is our inner wisdom telling us something, where in fact, it's really inner chatter that is have been running on loop forever, fed by limiting beliefs that are so unconscious that we don't even know that they're there. But that's sort of the symptom that you can pay attention to and say, well, maybe there is something deep there that I'm not even able to connect with, and it's telling me something. So yeah, we kind of see the surface of the iceberg, and that's what I do a lot when I work with clients. Is we start from the tip of the iceberg, but we really have to see what's the rest of it. What else is there? Because a lot of what we suffer, we're not aware of the core of where it's coming from.
Mhm. Yeah, I would agree with that.
Yeah.
So do you think that a lot of people walk around with, I'm going to say, masks on, and no, not because of COVID, but do you think, do you think,
Blinders.
That too.
but do you think that we walk around sort of with a mask on that is what we want to project out into the world, what we think people want to see? And how do we take that mask off and touch back into who we really are at our core?
Mm. I love that that description because it's so true. Yes, we wear a lot of masks, a lot of layers around us, and you can ask, you can do this exercise. You write on a piece of paper everything that you consider yourself to be. Like, I'm a father, I'm a brother, I work, I have this job, I have this title, I have this, I have that. I'm a farmer, whatever it is. I have a car, I have this beautiful clothes, I look great, and whatever it is. And when you're done, um, does that define you? You look at the list and say, does that define me? At that point, if you're really honest with yourself, you can take this list and throw it out in the garbage, because you'll see that all these are the masks that we're putting out on ourselves. These are the veils. These are the things that hide who we are. And underneath it all, there is something that we're just not used to connecting with. But when we learn how to connect with that part of us, it's probably the key to healing. It's the most healing action that one can take, is connect to that thing underneath the masks, which we don't like to do on an everyday basis, because it's I don't know if it's work. We're just not used to it, especially not in the West. We're not used to it.
Yeah,
It's
True. Yeah.
that is very true. We're not used to it. It's scary, I think. I think it's, facing yourself when you're just looking at your raw self. It's very fearful. I was in a drumming class one time, and the lady that was leading it, she said, I want you to go around the circle, introduce yourself, but you may not say, I'm a mother, I'm a student, you can't use any of those things. Who are you? And like everybody, you could just see froze because you're like, I don't know who I am without all those, like you were
Right?
saying, labels and things that I've attached myself to be. It's scary because it's so raw to figure out who you
Yeah.
really are underneath that.
And you remind me, then there are the labels that we don't put on ourselves, but other put on us. What I call in shamanic terms markers. So it's like the energetic markers on us that really like uh, you know, see through me, or don't talk to me, or I'm not important, so don't treat me as important. All these labels that we put on because this is how maybe somebody treated us this way. And so either we put it on or we allow it to stay on because somebody did it, and we feel powerless. And so
Mhm.
so much of it, of what you describe, is a result of giving our power away, not wanting to really recognize who and what we are. And
Right.
that's what I love to do when I work with people, is eh, connect them, connect them to what we really are, because there is this um, divine aspect of us, and you don't need to be religious to know that. In fact, I grew up in a place that religion was treated as, something that you don't do. My father grew up in an Orthodox Jewish home, and he escaped. It was very anti-religion all his life. Didn't want to see any symbol of religion, and so for me, it was a journey of recognizing the value, really, in all sorts of ways of thinking and experiencing that are not what I grew up with. And and at some point, for example, I loved to pray, just to feel just to go to a synagogue and feel what it's like to become a part of a community and have this relationship with God through praying. I can't say that I'm religious, but I'm certainly considering myself as spiritual, as feeling there is this power there. And really, if we learn how we're always connected, we're never disconnected, even if we feel like there's nothing there, we're never disconnected. It's so empowering. And so I love to show clients how you're never alone, how you're always supported, and how in the center of your heart, let's say the physical heart or the heart chakra, there is this divine spark that can grow into a divine flame, and it is you, the divine aspect of the divine with capital D, in you. If you can align with that, you're going to be fear is becoming much harder to connect to when you really see yourself as an eternal being, as a being that is always connected to the divine. I have so many clients that come to me and describe how they're being attacked. They're being attacked by all sorts of people, beings, things. Um, it it is and nobody says that it's easy. Sometimes it's definitely not easy to solve these kind of problems, but the core is we're giving our power away to somebody else, to something else, to say you don't have what it takes, you're not enough. And when I can show somebody that's the truth, things starts to shift. So health starts to change because it's all tied together.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Because we're energetic beings, right? So
Yeah.
it has to shift when we shift, I think, in my opinion,
Yeah.
anyways.
Yeah.
And when we find that conversation with our God, divine, whatever you want to call it, I think, regardless if we pray in church or we pray by the creek, it's all the same thing. And they all have an essence to them. Like, I was always one that loved to go to church when I was young because I always found there was just such a reverence in it and being there and being around the people and that energy. And that was my initiation to be like, this is how I get my connection to the source, right? How I find that peace, that inner light within myself.
Very true. And I was the guy that probably grew up with the creek, with with the energy of the creek around, with the water, with the desert, with the rocks. Yeah, that was me. I mean, and I had very strong, always very strong connection to nature, but I did not consider it anything special. And that's something because a lot of people are just thinking, well, that's really interesting, but I don't have any of this in me. I mean, this is special gifts. Maybe you have it, I don't. And I remember I really struggled with this, especially when I started to discover things about myself, because, well, I happen to be Taurus, and that means very connected to the earth in many ways. And uh, for me, it was also a matter of discovering that if you're very, very connected to whatever you need to be connected to, in other words, it's just working through you without you even paying attention, that's fine too. You don't need to say, I'm now getting a download, I'm now hearing. I mean, it's great when it happens. But it doesn't have to happen for you to know that you're connected because in some ways when it's just happening to you naturally, flawlessly, it's like the fish doesn't know that what water is because they're in the water, and it's the same
Right.
thing. You're just immersed in it, and so you don't necessarily know that you're already doing it. And that was one of my big discoveries, is that yeah, I don't need to say that I'm intuitive to just discover that I'm already acting this way in many ways.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's true. That's
that,
very true.
yeah. So if somebody was to work with you and go on this shamanic journey with you, what is something that they can look forward to, and what is something that maybe they're fearful of that they actually don't have to be afraid of?
Mhm. Okay, great questions. Looking forward to, I would say, is healing, but not healing in the way that you expect it to be necessarily. So I'd like you to know that you're thinking, but if only this changed, then everything will be perfect. And what I want to say is, yeah, that happens, but why not be open to something even better happens? Why not be open to not needing to know exactly how the change will come, just knowing that when we work together, you are going to heal in more than one ways. You're not in charge of dictating the sequence of how it happens. You don't, and it's not a matter of power play. It's just that it's counterproductive, it's not necessary, and sometimes it slows the healing. So a lot about the healing is just be open to whatever comes without judging it, without having because we all love to have expectations on, I need to go through these steps because the doctor told me, or because somebody told me I need to do first A, then B, then C, then D. And I'm saying, okay, know what Z is, but you don't need to know what leads from A to Z. Let that happen. And just take steps and be directed and then redirected by the steps that we're working together. So I'm not going to tell you uh, we're gonna go through step A, step B, step C, because I don't know them, because I work with you, and there is this dynamic that happens. There are these discoveries, and we will figure out what blocks your energy from healing, from manifesting, from whatever it is that is lacking. That's our job. So if you are afraid of feeling your emotions, I'm probably gonna want you to feel your emotions more than you're used to, because this for me is like a flashlight. If you if I ask you, okay, this is the story. You know, a lot of times when you ask somebody, how do you feel? They'll tell you a story. They'll tell you a drama story, something that happened. And what I want to know is literally, how do you feel? Are you angry? Are you sad? Are you fearful? Are you, are you ashamed? Whatever it is, what is the feeling? Because when people go into that just raw feeling, there is some lighting up that happens energetically in the body, and I can sort of direct myself towards it, and then there is it's almost like there is an arrow, or there is a doorway that opens and say, go there, go, something will say, okay, well, this is something that is coming from dad's side or mom's side, or something that happened, in another lifetime. Whatever happened, it's an opening, it's a direction, and it also shows the pathway to healings. And this is the beginning. But we don't end there, because usually when I ask somebody, how do you feel about this, they'll give me sort of a surface feeling. So, like, if you hear I'm frustrated, it's probably a surface feeling. And then what happens? So feel this frustration, feel it, and see what other emotion come underneath it, because there will be something else that comes underneath it. And maybe it'll be sadness. A lot of time it is, actually. But there's a range of feelings that you can feel. And these are more real because you were not aware of them. They're coming from the unconscious. And the moment I asked you to feel them, to feel your feeling, you were not aware of it. But once you start feeling your feelings, things that you were not expecting will come up. And they would be the real deal.
That's
And so,
true.
yeah. And so we're going after that. Another thing that I'd say people might be afraid of is, okay, what is shamanic? What is shamanic energy healing? Is it I don't know, is it demonic? Is it sorcery? Is it this? Is it that? So there's all these fears about stuff that we don't normally know. We don't know what's in the dark. We don't want to see what's in the dark. And I'll tell you, you don't need to see anything that you're afraid of. This is not what I do in the work. A lot of this stuff is actually sorting itself out without needing to go into the story, without needing to see anything. And if there's something that there is a need to talk about, because if the mind grasps it, it somehow helps, that's fine. But that's not how the work is actually being done, because most of the time, it's not being done in the left brain. It's done somewhere else. A lot of it is done in the heart. It's done in different chakras of the body, different areas of the body, or wherever the energy is stored. But just think of it, as you said, everything is energy, everything is vibrations, everything is waves and particles, and that's scientific, but that's also how we work with this in energy healing. It's stored somewhere in the body, so it's divert energy to places they don't need to go. So the body is out of balance, and that can affect your immune system. In my case, with multiple sclerosis, it affected my nervous system because my nervous system was out of balance. And so I will work with whatever is needed once I see where the imbalance is, to restore the balance. And we don't have to go to scary places. In fact, one of my principles is I meet you exactly where you are. I don't drag you anywhere. I don't drag you to places you don't. I don't force the truth into you. Uh, it's not. This is this is this is not very. This is not. Maybe it's effective for some people. For me, that's not how I do it. I just don't. Like I said, I love to connect at the heart level, then see what bothers you, and then work with you in very effective ways and discovering things about you that are very empowering. Because most of the time, you'll come up with something like a gift or something, or a skill or something that you didn't even know you have. And now you know that you can use it for self-healing or for manifesting, because it's cool. I mean, it's really good. And you didn't even have an idea that you possessed it.
That's very true. And I think when we're shining the light in the dark, right, is we become, it isn't as scary because, there's less things to be afraid of once we actually you know, allow to know that there's safety in that darkness as well, right? And as we're flashing our light around, we're seeing that. So in your shamanic practice, do you do any like guided journeys with people to help them find these areas where they're having the blockages?
Funny that you asked that because because I this is something that I mean I've been doing it for years, but in I think it was September, I started to do bi-weekly, I call it bi-weekly Alchemical Flame group journeys. And what they are free group journeys that are 30 minutes on every other Wednesday. And what we do is because I developed this system of the alchemical flame that has different realms, we visit the realms. So we go into the heart realm, and then we discover things like limiting beliefs, and we discover soul wounds. We discover things that are hard stuff, and we're not just sightseeing. We're healing while we're at it, and that's the beauty of the alchemical flame. It's a beautiful tool of healing. And then we go into the shadow realm, and the shadow realm has traumas and it has interferences. Sometimes there are dark interferences. Sometimes there are contracts, curses, vows, whatever it is. We don't have to experience it as a dark thing, as you say. We bring the light in. We're protected, but we connect to something that is the root, or connected to the root of what's causing the blockage, the disturbance, the energetic problem we have. And once this is gone, then things starting to shift and move. We're going into what I call the magical realm, and so specifically there, I like to go into what I call the inner landscape or the inner realms, which is, you can imagine, because a lot of it is done with the imagination, but imagination is not fiction. So uh, we're going into the inner realms, or inner landscape that is like nature within us. So it's another view of the
Yeah.
body from within. And you might see, I'll give you an example. So when I was still experiencing, or suspected of having multiple sclerosis, I would have seen this maybe as rivers that are blocked, that the stream is not fully running, or maybe an area, maybe a burnt area where there were trees and now it's burnt because my my myelin sheath around the nerves were ruined. So these kind of things you will see, and you can also correct in the inner landscape. And it's amazing how effective it is to go in the inner landscape and change things, and suddenly see the body or the emotional body, or other aspects of you, because we're layered with bodies, spiritual, emotional, physical, and mental, and all this can shift when you work in the other realms. So I love that, because it's very effective, because you don't need to understand the biochemistry of everything that is happening in a cell. You can just work with higher level tools, but the body actually changes.
Right.
So
And
if somebody
yeah,
wanted to do that, where would they find you to do that?
I have a website. It's called www.alchemicalflame, one word, alchemicalflame.com. And on that, you'll find that you can book with me a free consultation to learn more about how I can help. And I'll be honest with you and tell you I can't help if that's what it is.
Right.
I'm offering a class this coming February That'll be there under courses. There is what I just mentioned, the biweekly group journeys are there. And so there are things you can do there, and you can book appointments with me, of course, and it's all there, and it's in one place. I also sell some pre-recorded things that I've done, like clearing dark interferences, dark forces, balancing the chakras. I actually have 7 different recordings that can be sold as a package or separately for healing specific limiting beliefs. These are like the core limiting beliefs, like I'm not worthy, I'm not lovable, I'm not good enough. I mean, so there are like core 7. I think the one that is probably the one that has all of them included is the one that is saying I'm disconnected from the divine. And that's sort of the core belief of every other belief that is limiting. And
Right.
so all this is also on the website. So there's not tons of stuff, so I don't want you to think you'll get lost in there, but
That's good too.
That's okay too. Yes, exactly. So what's new for you in 2025?
in 2025, so the first thing that's going to happen in February, I'm going to give a class, and the class is going to be about this system called the Alchemical Flame. I want to tell you something about this system. I developed it this year, and it's not that this is something that I haven't done before, but I never called it that, and I never really was able to translate what I'm actually doing into like terms. So that's an undertaking, and it was really hard. You probably can't believe how hard it is to describe what you're doing in a way that you can actually write and then tell somebody else about. And so I took like a month to think, okay, I'm working with people. What do I actually do? How do I do it? What is like the process? And what are the actions that I take? And then I said, okay, so I work with the Alchemical Flame. I work with things that shamans work with. I work with past lives. I work with ancestral lineage. I work with, sometimes I work with ETs, although this is not the core of my work, but I do, and that would be more in the magical realm where it's just different realm, like the astral realm, the other dimensions, movement in different places and times. And I work with the divine realm, which we didn't talk about, but this is the one that I really like to be in. It's just that it's not always the first thing that needs to happen. It's something that when it happens, it happens. But in a divine realm, it's actually fairly simple if you think about it. All you need to do is surrender the need to have your own solution, because we all think we know best what's the right solution for ourselves and definitely for somebody else. And here, surrender your own solution and then accept divine love. And when these two things happen, miracles happen, literally miracles. And so I love to do this. And so that will be the class. It's 7 weeks. It's describing each of the realms and how you heal yourself. So it's not about me fixing you, because I don't think that works. It's more about how you learn, first and foremost, perhaps, that you're already whole, that you're not broken. And here are the things that you can do to help yourself to remember that. And when you remember that, the body comes back into balance. The body already knows how to heal itself. So that's what we're doing. We're letting the body remember how to heal itself. We let the emotional body remember how to heal itself. We let the spiritual body remember, how beautiful it is and all that. And besides that, I'm going to have events that I know are coming, but because they're not set in stone, I'm not sure that I can talk. But certain, like workshops, conferences, this kind of thing that is coming up. And first and foremost is I just love working with clients one-on-one. This is the sort of the core is what really bring me a sense of fulfillment. I don't know about, I wouldn't say it brings me happiness, because it's not, this part is not so much about happiness. It's just very fulfilling for me to do this. It's like I'm doing what I'm here supposed to do. And that's part of what I also like to, I don't show it to people, but I help them find, because when everything else falls into place, maybe it'll be easier to figure out what is my sole purpose. How many clients, I think you have clients, right? You see clients. How many clients are wondering, why am I here? What am I doing? What is my sole purpose?
I ask myself that every day. As part of my morning ritual, that is a question I ask is, well, in a different form, but is it's like, how can I serve? And so in that is really what I'm asking is like, what's my purpose? Like, how do I go out and spread my light and help the people on this plane, right? So that's a question I ask every single morning in my practice when I'm meditating. And
Beautiful.
Yeah.
so so if you had a final thought to leave with everybody, what would it be?
I want to reiterate that, when it's hard to remember when we feel unwell, that it's hard to tell ourselves that we're not broken. It's hard to tell ourselves that we are whole. And sometimes you just need a reminder. You just need a reminder. And what I do is go into the heart center to remember that I'm never alone. I'm always supported. I'm infinite in the sense that I'm eternal. I'm not going anywhere. I'm still here. I'm going to be here. And it's really wonderful to remember all this, because when you remember this, you remember that there's nothing to fix here. There's nothing to fix here. And the moment you remember that, if there was anything that perceptively you thought were broken, they will start to come together. All these pieces will start without much work. So it can be easy. It doesn't have to be excruciating to feel well.
Well, thank you. That was very heartfelt. I
Yes.
could feel my emotions just welling up when you were saying that, because I feel like it's going to be such a powerful message to people to know that, right? Because
Yes.
I think that is where a lot of people are sitting right now. And so thank you for that message. That was beautiful. We appreciate that.
Truly was. Yes, it is.
So, and thank you for being on our podcast. It's been such a wonderful time spending with you, and we've both learned so much.
Yes, we have. Next time I'll talk more.
It has been such a pleasure to be with you. I mean, you really, you don't have to say much, Barb. I can feel it.
Thank you.
And we'd love to have you back some other time as you're journeying on and your path
Yes.
is spreading to different areas. We'd love to have you on to talk about
I'd love
the
to.
future.
Love
So,
to.
okay. Well,
Walk us
thank
through
you.
it.
And everybody else, we will see you next time.
You bet.